Welcome along to episode 763 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, Linda Matthews, one of the drag artists of the Ladies' Night taking place at the Hangar in Wolverhampton on the 16th of February. It's along to let us know more about the show. We'll be catching up with Jack Skipper to find out how we do sometimes get butterflies in our stomachs when it comes to those big events in our life and how a good night's sleep can help if you're at a premiere in. Alex James-Hatton let us know what it's like to be Clyde in Bonnie and Clyde. We'll be hearing from Mike Dixon at Hugglepets all about their open day on the 15th of February. Nick Wallis let us know about the post office scandal, The Inside Story, which is a tour making its way across the UK and stops off a few times in the Midlands. Sam Rabone is along to let us know all about the variety night taking place at the Lichfield Garrick. And we'll be hearing from Sean Wilson. He, who played Martin Platt, is now a purveyor of cheese. We're finding out how important it is to get your accounts right in these circumstances too. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, Sam Rabone has a big Boston variety show coming up at Lichfield's Garrick Theatre. It's taking place on Sunday the 10th of March, and it's going to be amazing. It's got to be. Sam's in it. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you? And thanks for that. That was nice.
It's going to be a big event. You're going to be down there, as you've got some very special guests too.
I have. I've been talking a while with the theatre about doing this, and finally we're getting around to doing it. I don't think variety nights happen like they used to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're in Blackpool, or maybe down in the Chroma Piers, there are still ones happening. But as far as I know, around Lichfield and the Midlands, there's burlesque nights all over the place, but true variety nights just don't seem to be a thing, which I think is such a shame. So I was talking and I said, let's try and put one on. Let's see whether we can sell one. And at the moment, I mean, it's great. We've got under 100 seats left, which is such a nice thing to have for my first variety night that I'm putting on. And yes, I've got some amazing friends. I wanted it to be my variety night with people that I knew and my people that I've seen or worked with. So I've hand selected some amazing variety acts. And as I say, I wanted to be proper variety. So I've got comedy, I've got speciality acts, I've got singers, and I've got magicians.
And it's going to be a good night. I mean, you've got Mrs. Barbara Nice now, of course, that's already a good start. You've seen her on telly on numerous things, from Max and Paddy all the way through. So she's just absolute comedy gold, isn't she?
She's great. I first saw Barbara in, if you remember, the Newt in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Under the ramp, and she was booked for a night there, but for some reason I don't know what had happened, but nobody was around. But she wasn't phased. She got a quiz with her. She did a quiz, and we became quite good pals from that. And I've seen her in some other like burlesque nights. She does some bonker stuff, but I've seen her 3 or 4 times at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And since then, I've wanted to work with her properly. She just makes my sides ache from laughing because it's just fun, bonkers, silly entertainment.
On top of that, talking of bonkers, you've got Max Fulham. Now, this is a gentleman with his friends as a ventriloquist who were with you in the panto that never quite was.
The panto that we don't like. I don't like to talk. Some people really like to talk about it, but for me, it just wasn't the same. Well, it obviously wasn't the same, but it was hard. But I had such fun times trying to put it on with Max, with Lorraine Brown, with Victoria as well. It was so nice. And Max and me have become quite good friends. And again, when I was putting on this variety night, Max was one of the top people on my list that I wanted. And he was free, so I booked him. And he's probably, I'm not saying this because he's my mate or anything, but he's one of the best ventriloquists in the country. Like, some of the stuff he's doing is phenomenal. And yeah, he's got some mates he'll bring along with him. So I'm really excited for Max.
So that's going to be good fun. And then some music too with Kiki DeVille.
Yes. Have you seen her?
I haven't actually. This is new to me, so explain more.
No, so Kiki is an Australian powerhouse. She's amazing. So she has done The Voice. She's been in England for about 10 years now, so she's a UK resident, but she's from Australia originally. She's just got such a good voice. And most recently, she did a was it Starstruck, where three people pretended, but stars in your eyes, but three people were being the person. She was Bette Midler and that. But yeah, she has got such a nice voice, and she's just funny as well. So she's going to be great. Great. Just again, adding variety. So it's not just three stand-up comics. We've got comedy from Barbara. We've got ventriloquist Max. We've got Kiki singing. And of course, do you want to introduce him or shall I keep going?
Well, we will say Mark James is there too. Now, this is a man who is exceptionally talented in the world of magic.
He is. I wanted a magician. And when you say magic these days on stage, you think of big shows with multiple assistants. And I wanted something a bit different. So he does a lot of vaudeville style magic, and he takes stuff back to how magic used to be on those little one-man road shows. He does like the cigar boxes. He does, I mean, I don't want to, hopefully he won't be doing too much gory stuff, but I have seen him do the nail up the nose business, which I don't like the look of. But it's proper old school magic, and he's very, very talented.
And you're just going to hang around and watch the show?
Well, yeah, no, basically, I'm having a lovely time watching some of my best friends do some amazing things on stage. Well, it's such a pleasure for me. So I'll be hosting it. So I've got a few things I'm going to be doing. People often only really see me as a dame at the Garrick, so it's going to be a nice little treat to be in trousers for me. So I haven't got to be there 2 hours before putting my face on or anything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As you said, it's Mother's Day, so it's a nice little Mother's Day treat. I was looking at tickets earlier when I was coming to have a chat with you. There's only 6 seats left downstairs. There's a solitary seat left in one of the boxes, and then there's a few left. There's about probably 60 seats, not even that, left up in the circle. So if you do want tickets, you need to get them.
Absolutely. Be quick. 01543 412121, lichfieldgarrick.com. And you've also got the opportunity to nip in and get them in real life if you want to pop along to Garrick in Lichfield.
The box office is open and everything.
Yeah, 7 o'clock on Sunday, the 10th of March, and a great way of surprising your mother with some tickets in the morning and then take her to the show and buy a popcorn and an ice cream of the night.
Lean in, because I don't know whether I'm meant to say this, but I'm going to. We do have another one. We were so happy with how this one has sold already. We've booked another one in. So the next one, date for your diary, Sunday the 22nd of September is our next one. I can't tell you any more. Can't tell you who's in it, but again, it's going to be a nice treat, a full-on variety night.
Well, it's going to be absolutely amazing. If you're involved, Sam, we know it's going to be good. It's going to be funny. It'll be entertaining, and it'll be a joy for everyone to see. So thank you for letting us know about it. Have a brilliant time. Break a leg, and wear some unusual-looking shorts, judging by the state of the poster.
I might have an unusual looking trouser suit instead. Who knows?
Get you. I don't know. Fashion every step of the way. Sam Rabone, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, having seen season 2 of The Traitors conclude, there's been many a familiar face popping up from season 1 as well. One of those is Fay Greaves, who joins me now. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very well, yes.
And probably a much more relaxed viewing of season 2 of The Traitors than when the original series went out for you.
100%. Yeah. Because remember, when season 1 went out, we didn't know what they were going to show. So we knew that we were involved. Those of us that got far, I got to episode 10 of 12. So I knew about all the banishments. I knew about all the murders. However, I didn't know how they were going to edit it. So, yeah.
Because it is an interesting experience to be part of. And as far as reality TV goes, I mean, this is one of the nicer ones in many ways, but also it can be really disturbing because it's a very psychological game, isn't it?
Oh, God, more than psychological. Yeah, absolutely. You're thinking 24/7. Trust me.
Now, obviously, to the excitement of the cash prize, but most people going into this know that there's a relatively small chance of them being part of that final cash prize because at the most it's going to be 3, possibly 4 people who get to share a jackpot. But if there's a traitor there, you know it could be taken away from you at a moment's notice, and you spend the whole time trying to work out who's just playing a game and who your mates are.
And it's interesting you say that because when you go in there, and I was chosen as a faithful, you think that you've got the majority. Yeah, we've got the majority vote. So there's 18 of us, or at the time, I think Kieran and Amos had gone. So that put it down to 23 traitors. So there was 17 of us thinking, oh, this will be a piece of cake. 17 of us to find 3 traitors. But the truth is, it was a bloody nightmare.
And a big part of it is as well, those who are traitors, even in this season when it was checked to see whether they felt able to be a traitor as part of the show, they are not there by choice as a traitor. They have been selected, and it does make it an interesting dynamic when people think, they could be a traitor. Well, but it wouldn't have been their choice whatever happened.
No, and I think when you fill the application out, there are boxes that say, what would you prefer? So, yes, all of that's taken into consideration. However, that doesn't mean that's going to happen, because I'm sure this year, particularly when I was looking at the interviews with Claudia, most of them wanted to be traitors. About 80% of them said, I want to be a traitor, but only 3-4 of them got to be a traitor. I think throughout the whole show, I think they might have had 6 traitors or something like that on record. Yeah.
But it is intriguing, though, when it comes to the sort of environment that you're in. Because I mean, there's so much stuff I want to ask you about. But I mean, for you, from your point of view, obviously, when you applied, you didn't know the show, and I think we've seen it with Big Brother. The dynamic of the sort of people who apply changes when they've already seen a show go out. And I think that was one thing that was quite telling when we first met them. But actually, some of that seemed to die away a little bit afterwards, because it is the pool of people who apply that are interesting. And what drove you to do that as a complete unknown environment in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I was looking to exit my education profession after 30 years. So I was working in a school and the same establishment. And I just felt it was right for me to look at what else can I do, because I thought, I don't know anything else. This application dropped in my inbox. I had a look at it and I was so intrigued. I thought, wow, 22 people in the Highlands. And I knew it was Scotland. And I thought, I've never been to Scotland. And it had all the mystery around it. They didn't give a lot away, but they kind of just said that, you would be deceitful. Can you lie? Can you spot someone who's lying? And I thought, yeah, I'm working in a job with kids, because I can spot someone that's lying, And you're right. We didn't know what we were putting ourselves in for. And oh my goodness, that was an experience of a lifetime. I would say that, honestly.
Yeah, because when you then see the edit, obviously on any one day, and because of the gap between when it happens and when it screens, there'll be some bits that you'll think, did that happen? But the narrative on the edit is very much geared towards what the outcome of that day's banishment or murder is likely to be. And there's a lot more that happens, and there are many more conversations. But it's the magic of television is getting a flavour of that and bringing it to life the way they do.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. And I imagine they work backwards. That's how I imagine they do it. So they start from the back, the last day, and then do everything backwards, because that then, like you said, they know which characters to bring into play, because they know when they're going to be murdered or banished. So it is very clever the way they've done it. Yeah.
And it allows the story to be told. And I always worried when we started to get the background on somebody at the start of an episode that they weren't going to be with us by the end. And if it's one of your favourites, it's really disappointing.
Yeah. Or the background could be that they're going to go all the way to the end. You just don't know, do you? But yeah, they're on a winner. They're on a winner. Yeah.
Well, I say if you thought they could do one series and not do a second, actually, it's worked so well. It's been brilliant this time round. And Darren, did you have a favourite this time who you were edging on to go and win? Because I wanted Harry to win, because he seemed like such a nice guy, even though we knew what he had to do to play the game.
Yes, I did. I had a couple of favourites. I loved Ash in the beginning as a traitor, but I thought, God, she's too nice to be a traitor. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I just felt that she would give it away because she looked so nice. You kind of imagine a traitor, someone who's quite, straight-faced and not so warm. And I know all of them are doing it, they did a bloody good job. But Jazz, the Oracle man, I know they call him Jazz. Was it Jazza
Jazz the
Christie?
Christie.
Jazza Christie, but I called him Jazz, the Oracle man. He was incredible. From day one, he knew that Paul was a traitor. He was on to him. And then he was on to Ross without even realizing that Ross would have been recruited. And Harry, he was on to Harry. He was just really good, really good. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see people interact in this way, because it's almost like office politics, but next level, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. It's like throwing 22 people, like you said, from your workplace over a weekend and saying, get on with it, and you have to sit around the table and discuss each other once a day, Huh.
But what was it like for you as an experience then? I mean, you've come away from it with certainly a very positive attitude towards it, and with the care that's there, and the fact that it is played as a game, and I'm sure you're reminded about that as you go along, even though there's a big cash prize. Was it certainly something which is a highlight of your life?
Oh, 100%, Jason. You see, you have to know why you went in it. I know why I went in there. I personally, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't go in there for the £120,000. However, if someone said, there you go, they're gifting me that, I wouldn't say no. But I went in there to see if I could do something different. I wanted to be out of my comfort zone. I don't like water particularly. And there was a couple of occasions where we had to go in a river and all sorts, and, and just mingling with people that you'd never met before. You had to get to know them. However, you didn't know whether you trusted them. And that was the difficult thing, because we made some fantastic bonds inside there. But at that time, you're not thinking all the time that they're a traitor. You're just thinking you're a nice person.
And which traitor was it you were most friends with and probably most surprised by?
In there, I was very close to a handful. So I was close with Alyssa. She was a traitor originally. Amanda, she was a traitor. Will and I got on very well in there because we didn't hang out much, but he supports Liverpool and so do I. So he knew that. So we had a good rapport. Maddie, got on very well with Maddie in there. Maddie and I sort of did quite a bit together in the daytime and hung out, and Andrea occasionally, but I didn't, they were the main people that were there, sort of thing, that you sort of confided in.
But it's a whole different world, and again, it's one of those things you have to remember. It's a game, and everyone's playing. And the number of times I think I've shouted that, but it's just a game. When it's someone implies someone's terrible for being a traitor, but it's part of the reason for being there, and part of the reason the magic works so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you have to have that mindset to say it's a game. You can't take it personally. However, you do when someone's pointing the finger at you at the round table. It's not a nice feeling, because I had that happen to me, I think, episode 1 or 2 at the round table, and that was the only time. But wow, some people had the finger pointed at them every round table, and that can really get to you eventually.
Absolutely. And what was it like working with Claudia, because she comes across so well on the show?
She's amazing. You can tell that she's in it with us, the way she comes across, and she has empathy for those that have been banished, murdered, etc. And I always tell the story of the church when we were doing a mission in a church, and it was so cold, and Claudia came in with her entourage, and she was carrying this lovely hot water bottle, and she had her mittens on, and she looked at me and she said, "You look very cold." I said, she said, "Here, have my hot water bottle. Give it back to me when you're finished." And I thought, wow, and yeah, she's lovely. And I think she wanted to be with us more than she could. Yeah.
Well,
she was lovely.
It's brilliant TV, and I know you must be so proud of being part of it, and so proud of the fact you've been able to use the platform that you had to be ambassador for a couple of great charities too.
Yes, the NSPCC campaigner for them, a company called Ripple Suicide Prevention, an ambassador. I'm now an ambassador for Delalio Rugby Works. That's Lawrence Delalio, the rugby player. And I sit on the board of an SEMH, which is a social, emotional, mental health organisation called Elements, and they're in Birmingham. And I host a podcast called The Uncut. So, goodness me, this is someone who's taken a step away from education. I'm busier than I ever was.
Absolutely, was having a good time with it too, which is what counts, and using that for good, and using an amazing experience on TV to allow you to do even more and look after more people. The same way as you see, you were one of those people in there who, if someone needed to talk, you were there for them, weren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I'm a reflective person because of the work that I've done for many years, and you have to be a reflective person. And I made some nice bonds while I was in there, although they were with the wrong people, let's say.
Now, right people, wrong reasons.
Yeah.
That for me, because they're with the traitorish element that was there. But as I say, they're special people who, again, were just there to do a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do we find you on all the socials?
Well, I do have a Twitter account, which is the same as my Instagram account, which is at Radio Girls with GIRLZ on the end. And that's the main accounts that I use. And I've got a LinkedIn account, but that's totally different. Yeah.
We can just find you by searching for Fay Greaves on there. And of course, look out for the podcast as well. Remind us the details of where we find that.
That is on my handle. So if you go to Instagram, on the top, on my profile, you can just follow us on there.
Click the link and away you go. Well, absolutely fantastic speaking to you. Thank you for some great TV in season 1 of The Traitors. Still available on iPlayer if you haven't seen it yet. You can see the magic that came together for the first time. Fay Greaves, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Now, somebody who's no stranger to musical theatre is at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 5th through to the 9th of May as Clyde in Bonnie and Clyde. Alex James-Hatton joins me now. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. And as we speak, I hope we find you well and looking forward to being on the run.
Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, really, really exciting times ahead. We've got a lot of venues to cover, a lot of cities to explore, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
And I mean, touring is a thing that you've done more than amply in the past, even in your tender years. So, I mean, what's your favourite bit about being out on the road?
I think just exploring different cities, to be honest. I know that sounds really quite like an average answer, but I think it really is true. Like, seeing different parts of the UK is so important because we get caught up in our little bubble in London, and it's so good to go and explore. I also do love finding a good little brunch spot in all the different cities. That's one of my go-to things to do. And I'm a football fan, so I do like to go and see other footbtle games at other stadiums if I get the chance to as well, which is always a bonus.
So you'll be checking the fixture list when you haven't got a matinee, just in case. But it is already obviously a big show that really does take up an awful lot of your time here because it is something which, I mean, award-winning, West End transferred off around and abouts in the UK. So you're taking something out there which is tried and tested.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a certified hit for sure. I mean, it won the What's on Stage award. The creative team are Emmy nominated, Oscar winning. Like, it's mental. So I have no doubt that I'm in good hands with the show. The show is great, and the cast album has just been released as well. So there's lots to be looking forward to with this show. It's fantastic.
But a smart look as well. I think the look here is quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love that kind of 1920s, 1930s image. It's so cool. And the high-waisted trousers, it's wicked. I love it.
So we know you'll be borrowing the costume for when you're out and about, clubbing, that sort of thing. But with the music that is featured here, obviously it's all new, isn't it? This is something which has really been accepted and loved by every audience that's been to see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting, actually. Frank Wildhorn, who wrote the score, has written something so contemporary and rocky, jazzy, poppy, and then to slap that on a 1920s setting is really cool. And the music is it's a bit of a marathon. It's a big old thing, but it's so exciting and like so like alive and intense. And if anyone hasn't listened to it, listen to the London cast recording, because it's really, really cool, and I cannot wait to sing it every week.
And is there a standout song that you like to listen to, do you think, based on what you've heard so far?
That's a really good question. My favorite song to listen to, and probably to sing as well, actually, is Too Late to Turn Back Now. It's an absolute bop. I love it. It's so good. It's proper rock and roll, and it's good fun to do. Yeah.
And again, this is sounding like there's lots of different things juxtaposed throughout the whole show, yet at the same time of telling a story of two rather naughty criminals on the run.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really, and it's so interesting that they are so loved and still so adored in some respect. I think, it's just the story of two young, misfits in a way, and they find love and they go on this journey together. And yes, they are doing a lot of wrong, but I think in their heads, they're doing it for the right reasons. And they get caught up in all sorts of trouble. And of course, it's a true story. So, we can only go by the facts, but it's fascinating. I think it's a really interesting story, and people should definitely come to check it out if they don't know Bonnie and Clyde already, for sure.
Yeah, there were less musical numbers when it was all happening, and the press in the US were following it. And but the fact it comes from a time though where it was a press story on paper as well that told these tales. And again, I think that's got some sort of magic to it. You almost think about bringing it into the same sort of era now, and you'd be expecting Bonnie and Clyde to be blogging and vlogging as they went along, wouldn't you?
It's so funny you say that. We literally had this conversation in rehearsals. About, if this was modern day, it would be all over TikTok, it would be all over Instagram, people would be posting their pictures, people would be able to develop opinions and lose care so quickly. Whereas back then, that's the newspapers is all they had to go on, and it was exciting because it was so new and fresh. Especially Bonnie was someone who, as a female, an attractive female back in the day, they thought there's no way. She was so taboo to be doing these things. It was so interesting for people, and it became, quite a cult, such a following, which is mad considering they were criminals.
And tell us a bit about your Bonnie, because Katie's done again more amazing musicals like the likes of Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, people are in for a proper treat. Getting to see her perform. Her voice is beautiful. And she's so lovely, and I cannot wait to go on the road with her and do this and play opposite her every night. And we've only had a short amount of rehearsals so far, but we feel so comfortable, so lovely. She's such a lovely girl, and yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this with her. She's a big talent, and I'm excited to do it.
I mean, Bat Out of Hell, huge shows we've been in. You've done Heathers. We've got basically the dream lineup, but with dream lovers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. 100%. You're so right. I mean, I've done Book of Mormon as well. So if you throw that one in the mix, it starts to sound a bit weird, doesn't it? But
Everything's a little bit different, and it's all part of the rich tapestry of being a musical theatre performer. But again, it's that talent and that versatility that makes these roles so exciting. And again, I think we've got that in this sort of electrifying role, and a great supporting cast around you as well. And I know that with the ensemble and everybody else who helps to tell this story, this is going to really bring it to life. And if people know sort of the beginning, the end, and may not have picked up on the whole tale, this is actually going to have some insights too, isn't it? About little bits they wouldn't necessarily have known.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the writing is fantastic, and the level of research the cast have done, and like we found old diary excerpts and stuff, and seen recordings and footage and read up so much on it. There's so many little Easter eggs and nuggets of information that people won't have seen about Bonnie and Clyde before, which is obviously really interesting. And as you said, the supporting cast are just outstanding. We've got such a great bunch to go on the road with, and it's a really exciting time. Yeah.
Your
cool.
Bonnie and Clyde are folk heroes and felons and everything else in between. It is the 5th of March through to the 9th. grandtheatre.co.uk to get your tickets. 01902 429212, the box office number. Grab your tickets. Go along, see a show which is, it's guaranteed to have some laughs, some moments of tears, the love, and amazing music all thrown in for good measure.
It's got it all. It's got it all. Get your tickets.
Alex James-Hatton, aka Clyde of Bonnie and Clyde, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, mate. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
The post office scandal, the inside story, is currently making its way around theatres across the UK. The tour actually gets going in mid to late March. The 24th of March is its first stop off in the Midlands, and that's over at the Lichfield Garrick. To tell us more about how the show came about and what you can expect to see, I'm joined now by Nick Wallis. Hello, sir.
Hi there.
The post office scandal itself is something that I had heard about some time ago, mostly, I think, through your work. There was talk about it on Radio 4 and beyond. And I have to admit, until the recent TV documentary, I thought it'd been pretty much put to bed. But that certainly isn't the case. And it's still something which is horrendous and ongoing for those involved.
Yeah, I think there was a particular point at which the public became aware of the story, which was on the 23rd of April 2021, when so many sub-postmasters had their convictions quashed. And then very shortly afterwards, the government announced that there would be compensation for those sub-postmasters, which I think had the effect of persuading the public that everyone had got their convictions quashed and everyone was getting compensation, which sadly was not the case. And it's been something that I've been plugging away at, and the victims have been plugging away at, saying, look, we still haven't had proper redress. There are still so many people who need to get their convictions quashed. This scandal is ongoing. And it was the drama that actually brought all that home to people and allowed the news media, because of the outrage from the public and the appetite now for this story, to start actually telling people exactly what was going on.
And trying to get an understanding of how this could have happened in the first place. The background that we hear about the faults in this system, which were only a small part of the problem. It was bigger than just the fact that information could be changed. And so many people, it didn't ring alarm bells when so many people you are in a position of trust suddenly all at the same time seem to be on the take.
Yeah, I mean, the system didn't work. That's the fundamental problem with the Horizon IT system, that the cash accounting program, which underlay all the software, didn't add up properly, and the data integrity couldn't be trusted. And there was a recommendation that it should be rewritten, which never left Fujitsu, and Fujitsu managers rejected that recommendation and decided to fix it on the fly. Now, although it was a particularly bad IT system, that's not to excuse the behavior of the post office. If you put a system which is shaky into a live estate, then normally, under circumstances where it was causing problems, you'd be saying to the shareholders and you'd be saying to the IT department, right, we need to fix this. We need to, our customers are having problems, our users are having problems. We need to fix this so that they're not having so many problems. The nature of the contract that the post office had with its sub-postmasters transferred all the liability for any errors in the Horizon IT system and their accounts onto the sub-postmasters. Yet the post office and Fujitsu were the ones who were in control of the IT system. And it had this terrible effect whereby sub-postmasters would be forced to make good errors out of their own money in order to satisfy the contractual demands. But it also meant that the post office had no incentive to go back to Fujitsu and say, look, we've got problems here, because they weren't being properly identified. Instead, the post office would just say, well, it's not our problem, it's the postmaster's problem. They can make those discrepancies good, and we'll just carry on as before. And it meant that the system stayed weak for years.
And the tour that you're on now is going to give the inside story and a better understanding of what happened behind the scenes. And you're going to have a number of different people who were involved at different stages of this scandal who will talk to you. So even if someone comes along to one of the nights, say on the tour, say, for example, the Lichfield Garrick on the 24th of March, yet they want to then come back to it and revisit it with another person who is actually part of that, then you will get a different night and you'll hear more from somebody else's point of view and perspective. So I know that Harjinder Batoy is your guest for your appearance in at 7:30 at the Garrick in Lichfield. So tell us a bit about Harjinder, first of all.
Harjinder was someone who I didn't have a huge amount of contact with before he got his conviction cleared, but I subsequently spoke to him and I did an interview with him, and it turned out that actually he had been following my work and been seeing what's been happening to the sub-postmasters. And realizing that he was part of a much bigger organization than he previously thought. He thought, like so many other sub postmasters, that he was the only one having problems with the Horizon IT system. He was sent to prison for 3 years because of discrepancies in his account. And so you may remember on the 23rd of April 2021 those huge scenes outside the Royal Courts of Justice where so many sub postmasters came piling out, some of them waving their fists in the air. Harjinder was terribly overcome, and you can see him being comforted by his father, crying his eyes out at the release of finally having his good name cleared. And one of the joys of doing this live event is that every single one I've done so far, I've been able to invite a sub postmaster who was affected by this scandal to come along and talk to people about what they went through. And some find it quite a cathartic thing to be able to do, to have hidden away for so many years in shame and hiding from their communities because the post office had basically asserted that they were thieves, to then find a welcoming audience who are interested and engaged and want to know more about what they went through. It can create quite a cathartic and powerful moment in the room when we do this. And of course, every person is different, every story is different, and the story is changing all the time. As well as telling people a bit of the history of the Horizon system and how badly it was procured and implemented, I can always bring the story right up to date because we've got the ongoing public inquiry. And there are news lines coming out of that all the time. And now, thanks to the drama, there are news lines coming out of the media all the time. Some new, fresh scandal. We never seem to be more than 24 hours away from another thing that would just make you shake your head in disbelief or horror at what these poor people were put through. And so I can incorporate that into the talk as well. And it makes for a very lively, up-to-the-minute kind of feeling about it, as well as going over the ancient history of the story as well, so that people understand the context of it all as well.
Yeah, and I think that the context is the important thing. It's a real sort of mind-numbing concept that so many people could have been put through so much trouble, and it wasn't highlighted elsewhere. And someone with an overview couldn't pick up the fact that this was happening to so many good, honest people. In any profession, there are things that go wrong, but it should never, ever be considered to be on the scale that we're seeing here. And as you head around, you say you're bringing people in and having conversations with Theatre 7 over in Shrewsbury. You've got Tim Brentnell. That's coming up on the 14th of April. Then you're back in the Midlands again. I know you've got a date in Dudley Town Hall. Wendy Buffery is joining you on the 19th of April. And the sites are around about. And so it's the opportunity to hear so many literally harrowing stories. And it broke up people's lives. We sadly have lost people to suicide because of this.
Yeah, and we've also lost more than 60 people still waiting for compensation for what happened to them. I think one of the most egregious things of this scandal is that it went on for so long. I mean, we should be outraged by one miscarriage of justice. The fact that there are potentially more than 900 suggests a massive failure of corporate governance on an almost epic scale. The post office weren't counting how many people they were prosecuting. The courts were not counting how many sub-postmasters were passing through their doors. The union, the National Federation of Sub-Postmasters, did not hold a central record as to how many of their members were being prosecuted. Neither did the Ministry of Justice, neither did the Business Department, which owns the post office on behalf of the taxpayer. So there was a huge failure here to get a grip on what was going on, the scale of what was going on, and start asking questions about what could be done about this, because the post office managed to essentially prosecute hundreds of people at the rate of one a week over the course of 10 years without anyone interrupting or querying why they were doing it.
You say this is an ongoing story. The show is evolving as you're making your way around. The chance to see from the inside what actually happened as part of this post office scandal. Tickets for the Lichfield Garrick, lichfieldgarrick.com. You mentioned, I've mentioned there that you're Dudley Town Hall on the 19th of April, Theatre 7, 14th. You're also playing in Stourport. That's not too far away from us. So it's worthwhile checking all the details for the whole tour itself. Where do we find info on the whole tour?
All you need to do is go to postofficescandal.uk, and there's a live events page on Post Office Scandal website, and that lists all the dates that I'm doing all around the country. I think I'm pleased to tell you that we've just added another date to the Theatre 7. We're doing a matinee as well as the evening performance, and we're going to be joined by Mohammed and Rabina Shaheen, who are two people deeply affected by this scandal. Rabina had her conviction quashed again back in 2021, and they had their home repossessed. They ended up sleeping in a van for 6 weeks because they were technically homeless and didn't find anywhere to go as a result of what the post office did to them. They are slowly building their lives back together, but they're getting on, and they really have suffered. But the way they tell their story, I do have a lot of affection for Mohammed and Rabina, and I'm delighted that they're going to be able to join me in Shrewsbury.
Yeah, and I say an opportunity to really explain how this not only should not have happened, but should never ever happen again. Nick, I mean, congratulations on your work that you've done here. This is the sort of broadcasting and journalism we need to see more of, and it's so much harder to do in the way in which you would expect to do it in this internet age. So I'm sure you have your own battles to do this sort of thing, and be able to bring it to an audience that understands and hears what's happening. The post office scandal, the inside story, touring theatres across the UK. Worthwhile seeing it on one of the several stops within the Midlands. I say that first one being the 24th of March at the Lichfield Garrick, and a chance to have a greater understanding of something which we've seen both as a drama and literally the drama unfolding in our courts. Nick Wallis, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate it.
The Valentine's Ladies' Night is getting ever closer. It is the ultimate ladies' night. It's the Hangar in Wolverhampton. It's all taking place on Friday, the 16th of February. Somebody who's going to be wowing the crowds, not only with their look, but also their words, is Linda Matthews. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, thank you.
How's your world? Is it all good?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's busy. It's nice and busy. It's nice to keep busy and, not getting a minute to think to yourself when you've got a load of strippers chasing you around every 5 minutes. But it's great.
It's all part of life's rich tapestry, let's put it that way. So tell us about your act, because I'm already, as we speak, seeing flamboyantness around you.
Yeah, so, I've been a drag queen for the last 15 years. I am a live singing comedy drag artist that has worked all over the UK and abroad. I've got to work with some wonderful people in my time, Joe Longthorne being one of them. I've travelled length and breadth of the country most weeks, and this is my full-time job. So I do nothing else other than create gowns, make jewellery and dresses and wigs and God knows what, whilst performing on the road.
Well, looking absolutely amazing even as we speak, and we're expecting amazing things on stage. And it's about the humour that goes with this as well, isn't it? That's what really makes the world of drag come to life.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to be honest, I grew up in a very, very different world to the world we kind of live in today, because I grew up with influences like Stanley Baxter and, Daly LaRue, Michael Barrymore, those kinds of, Saturday night TV influences that were just funny for Paul O'Grady and the likes. And that's kind of where I modelled myself from. I was always around funny people growing up, and that's kind of where it all just comes from. You either, in this industry, I'm a firm believer in you're either good at it or you're not. Because it's something that you can learn. You've got to have funny bones to be funny. If that makes sense.
It absolutely does, and the sass that goes with it is essential too.
Yeah, bitterness is one of those things that creeps in every now and again. You sort of throw the odd sort of sassy line at somebody and see what they come back with. 9 times out of 10, it's banter. But I get that more these days, more so with the men in the male audience and stuff like that. Because I work all sorts of different audiences, but it's always good having what I like to call it playing with a man's alter ego, if you like, or at least give him a different outcome. They all come to the show and they're always really nervous, and then at the end of the show they absolutely had a brilliant time. They loved it, and I'm probably one of the funniest people I've met. Nice. That's the sort of comments you look for when you do this as a job, because in this day and age, it's all about making it acceptable for everybody.
But how was Linda Matthews born? Where did the name come from?
So I wasn't always named Linda Matthews. I was known as Linda Legs for quite a long time, because I used to work in Blackpool, in a little place with the Funny Girls, and Betty Legs Diamond was one of the people that sort of introduced me to the world of drag. I sort of formed by pure accident, really, because I started out as a holiday park singer, and worked the circuit, and I've done many different beauties of the year to different people. But this kind of just fell into my hands accidentally, and I just sort of ran with it because Panto and theatre was where I always wanted to be, and accidentally just fell into the mix, and it never left.
Well, I mean, your change in direction has been everybody else's gain with the work that you do, and so I know you're going to be part of a hugely entertaining night. Now, it's just the Hangar in Wolverhampton. It's a brilliant venue as well, and you got strippers, you got variety. It's just going to be great fun for everyone who's got an open mind and is over 18.
Absolutely. I mean, these sorts of events are they're great. They just bring people together, and I know it's a bit of a difference because I've worked on the ladies' night circuit for many years. I've done hundreds of ladies' nights with several different companies, and in the last 15 years, I've never done anything that's as exciting as this. This is a completely re-envisioned show. It's something different that hasn't been done before. We're not just another ladies' night with a drag queen and strippers. We're actually doing the whole thing in a nice hell of a show. We've got circus acts, we've got routines, we've got group routines, we've got absolute, you name it, it's been there. And it's fresh, it's exciting, it's something different for everybody to come and see. And that's what I'm looking forward to most of all, because I retired from the ladies' night industry for a while. I refused to do them, didn't want to do them anymore. And then Ant one day contacted me, who's the director of the show, and said, would you consider this? And I will be honest, I took some hell of a convincing, because I was a no from the get. And he was like, just give this first show a shot, and if you enjoy it, then you can make a decision from there. And we got talking creatively with all the guys, and we visioned what we wanted it to be like. And Ant's from a circus background. I've been in performance all my life, and to actually work with that's as exciting about doing this as I was, in a completely different format with a complete array of cabaret. It's not just drag queen and a stripper and that's it. It's actually a full array of different stuff. We actually bring the show a whole new meaning. It's vibrant and it's fresh.
Yeah, we've got BGT finalist Amy Lou joining you down there. You've got the circus acts, you've got the drag, you've got the strippers, you've got butlers in the buff, and you've just got an amazing evening ahead. It's going to be a treat. And most importantly as well, raising funds for stroke patients in the city of Wolverhampton with the West Park Stroke Patient Cycling Group. So there's going to be a raffle down there doing all of that. So it's a bit of something for everybody. It's over 18s. It's a ladies' night. Expect some extreme fun.
I say ladies' night. I say ladies' night is open to the LGBT male community as well. For anybody that wants to come along and enjoy the show, or think they'd be up for a bit of cabaret, Cirque du Soleil style drag. It's going to be so exciting. I'd hope to see everybody there. If you haven't got tickets, I would certainly suggest you get them. Because if you've seen a ladies' night, I can promise you this, you haven't seen one like this.
No, search for the Ultimate Ladies' Night on Facebook. Get along to skiddle.com and search for Ultimate Ladies' Night, Valentine's Ladies' Night Show. You'll get your tickets that way. They are just going to be an amazing time. Over 18s only. Other than that, so you bring an open mind and you go away with a smile in your heart. I think that's how it's going to work, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a completely, you come in, it's an attitude-free environment. There is no place for egos or anything like that. Just come in, have a really good time, enjoy yourself, keep your eyes open, and just prepare to be amazed by what's about to happen in front of you.
Yeah, and in more ways than one. That's all I'm saying there. But make sure you bring some
absolutely.
Bring some cash for the raffle though, because you want to be raising funds for the stroke patients.
Most definitely bring some cash for the raffle, especially if you want a stripper dancing all over your body. Maybe, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, all going to be interesting. Linda Matthews, drag star, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, new research from Premier Inns has told us we get those tickly butterflies in our tummy before some big events. Somebody who's used to putting himself in front of a lot of people when he's out on the road is Jack Skipper, comedian. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well, Jason. How are you?
I'm coping just about. No butterflies talking to you, but because you're an all-round nice bloke. But it can be a bit tricky sometimes when you've got new places to go, people to meet, or massive shows to do in front of several thousand people.
Oh yeah, it can be very very nerve wracking. I mean, I think public speaking. I think it's people's number one fear, isn't it? But if you add trying to make them laugh on top of that, very scary.
Bit of a difficult one. I mean, you've got your notes, you've worked out an act, but do you still get nervous when you go out in front of several thousand people?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. But I think you need an element of nerves. You can't not have nerves. That's what it's the fuel. It keeps you going. But it's learning how to manage them nerves. I think is important.
Well, a good night's sleep's a good starting point. So if you're going anywhere, I'm sure you're in a premiere in the night before. But there's also other things that we can do when it comes to having the right mental outlook to these things.
Yeah, of course. It's just like, well, the good night's sleep, obviously. But I mean, on that, like in this research premiere, there's 16% of people get less than 4 hours sleep a night before a big event. That's quite. I mean, that's not good, is it? So you need to make sure you're relaxing, and I mean, there's a lot of 2/3 of people has got these rituals and superstitions. I don't know if you have any of these, but there's some people have some bizarre things they have to. There's one guy on my socials. I asked him. He has to have a sugar cube in his left pocket before any speech.
That's weird.
That's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, I have got them myself, but they're not really.
But no weird. Sugar cubes in your repertoire.
No sugar cubes. No sugar cubes. Mine just mainly revolve around the Rocky soundtrack and Lucky Pants.
Well, that's always good, and obviously copious amounts of product in your hair to make sure you look good when you're headed out on stage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all about that.
But is there anything that you've sort of done in the past and stopped doing, and it didn't turn into a disaster?
Well, that's the thing. The whole thing with these rituals and things like that. I've actually zero proof that any of this works. So it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. There's no point. So I'm trying to wean myself off of having any ritual. I think I've even worn the Lucky Pants and not done well. So there's proof that it doesn't work.
Well, depends on the washing powder you used as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Can make the difference. But with the excitement of when you are heading out and about, and so at the moment you're doing sporadic gigs here, there, and everywhere. And do you find that if you're playing a venue you haven't played before, it's a little more nerve-wracking than one you have?
Yeah, 100%. I've learned to do this thing where it's like have zero expectations before I get there, because sometimes you can go there thinking, you don't want to play the room you've been given. If you go there with any sort of thoughts of how it's going to be, you're gonna screw yourself. Really, you can't really be doing that.
You have to make sure you're ready for anything in your gig. So that is one of those things. But if somebody's maybe looking towards a job interview or something like that, there are other things like prep that can get them ready for it, and knowing what they need to about the company they're going to.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's about swatting up, knowing everything getting all the knowledge, getting it all in there. Then when that's all in there, that's going to stay in there. Then you can just relax after that. Find something that's going to, get you a bit of mindfulness. I do a bit of colouring in before I go on gig.
Inside or outside the lines?
I try my best to keep inside.
But depends on how nerve-wracking the gig is, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. My 8-year-old daughter is better than me at colouring in, to be honest. So.
You get less practice, I'm going to guess. So that's probably the reasoning behind it. Have there been any surprises for you when it comes to the likes of Nerves, where you thought everything was going smoothly, and then as soon as that spotlight descends on you, that's it, the knees go?
Yeah, no, it happens sometimes. Warm-ups are very important as well. Make sure you're warmed up. I've had it where sometimes you have to travel really far to get to gigs. You could be doing like 4-hour drives, and you realise that you haven't spoken for a while. And the first words you say are when you're on stage, and you realise, your voice sounds weird. You've got to make sure you're vocally warmed up and physically warmed up.
And are you a connoisseur of the premierings? Obviously, they're all to an amazing standard. But have you got a favourite? I stayed in a really nice one in London a couple of weeks back.
They're all really good. I stayed one in Manchester, Piccadilly last week. That was lovely. That was a particularly nice one.
Mm-hmm. And you were down there for the breakfast as well?
Down there for the breakfast.
Has to be done.
I'm there. 100%. You can't miss the breakfast.
And with the heading out and about at the moment, I mean, do you have particular comedy clubs you enjoy playing?
I mean, there's loads. I was in Central London last night. I was at it's called Top Secret Comedy Club. I really enjoy that one. I'm starting doing more theatres and things like that. So they're all great. But you can still have gigs in pubs that are fantastic. So I love getting here, there, and everywhere, doing them all.
And I do ask you about your worst or your best gig. Let's go for your best gig. Which one have you enjoyed the most? Let's stay positive.
Not so long ago, I did the Hackney Empire, and I was standing in the wings, and this was like one of them pinch yourself moments. I was there with Jack D to one side of me and Harry Hill to the other side of me, and that was one of them moments where I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Do you know what I mean, I'm living the dream. Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, you do share stuff all over the socials as well, and people can also go there to see where your latest gigs are, and then try and work out which Premier Inn you're staying close by, so they can spot you on the way down to get a croissant.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll be a Premier Inn near you.
Where are you on the socials, and where do we find more on the Premier Inn research?
So if you want to find me on socials, it'll be at Mr. Jack Skipper on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to find out more from the Premier Inn, you can go to premierin.com/big moments.
You can check out all those moments in our life, which may make us a little nervous, but that all-important good night's sleep can make a massive difference. Try and get more than 4 hours. I know if you're a Premier Inn, you're just going to be out like a light, aren't you?
Exactly.
Jack, lovely to speak to you. Thank you for joining us, and happy heading out on the road.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
Coming up on the 15th of February, it's once again time for Hugglepets to welcome loads of people through their doors as part of a community fun day. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Mike Dixon. Hello, sir.
Hello, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I hope we find you well.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Thank you.
So tell us what you have in store for us.
Oh, great. Yeah. So on the 15th itself, as you know, we're doing an open day. We do generally try and do a few of them a year. So it's like a free event everyone can come to and see some animals and find a bit more about us. Obviously, we've got the sensory room. So on the afternoon, when we open the full event, people can go in there and see what that's about and speak to our community team. On the morning, we've got some Ascend Family Fun Day, which is on the Hugglepets in the community website, and you can book tickets. So it's more of a controlled environment, so that children with those issues aren't sort of overawed, and it's a controlled thing. So making the provision for everyone really, so everyone can have a good time. So that's going to happen in the morning, and then in the afternoon we're going to have it so it's open to everyone, so everyone gets a good chance to come in, but in a way that they're comfortable with. So anyone with a Send family need can check Hugglepets in the community.co.uk and book tickets to attend that event. And then obviously in the afternoon, we'll be posting on the Hugglepets Facebook page and more information about the general bigger event that everyone's of course welcome to.
Yeah, and that's when I'll be along after midday. We'll be broadcasting live with Wolverhampton today between 12 and 3. A chance to meet up with loads of people down there and have a natter with some of the people who pop in, because you've got regulars who not only come to buy pet supplies, but also to enjoy things like the pond room, and maybe regular users of the sensory environment, and all of that, amongst the fact that you keep changing things up. Nothing stands still down there, does it?
No, we've in time for that, fingers crossed, we're doing a little revamp of the fish tanks in the main section of the middle of the store. So hopefully we'll be able to unveil them for the fun day as well, and people can see them, and they're quite cool. They're a little bit different to normal ones, I should say, so people can come down there and see what that's about when we get it all kicked off. But yeah, we're always doing something.
Because not everything's for sale down there, is it? There are residents as well as products and
correct,
pets.
Yeah, so all of our animals that are involved in our therapy classes, they're permanent residents, and there'll be a lot of those that can be seen on the day as well. So yeah, it's there's always something, and obviously, as we've said before, people can just come down, have a look, pick our brains on advice for products for their pets, or if they're interested in getting pets, there's no pressure. Definitely is somewhere you can just come in and sort of just have a chat and a chinwag if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's if you've got a cat or a dog, or you're looking for a cat or dog, it's cat and dog supplies. No cats and dogs, but
Correct.
Pretty much anything and everything else in some way or form, I think.
Yeah. So if it's small furry animals, we've obviously got our permanent residents, but we don't have, obviously they're not for sale. But reptiles and fish, we do have all those, and pond fish as well. They're all those type of animals are for sale. Yeah, as well.
And no, I love meeting up with the was it Tortoise or Terrapin I met last time down there? It got a shell. I
Tor-
remember that was.
Yeah, tortoise. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So and they are just they're so relaxing.
yeah,
It's such a different style of life if you've got a shell, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's very calm life in it for those. Yeah, they're brilliant.
So lots to see and do. And I know that you work with your partners within the industry to also do offers throughout the year as well. And it's always worthwhile checking what's going on the website for that sort of thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just from the other side of things, if you've got a pet, yeah, we stock over 9,000 products, so we should have something that will cover your needs. So just by all means, come in, have a chat with the team, and we should be able to help you out. And if there's something we haven't got, we can usually get it. So just let us know and have a browse on the website, see if there's something there for you as well. You can do click and collect on the website.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I think there's the eBay sale still going on.
Yeah. There's different bits everywhere. So you'll see us if you Google us. You'll probably see us popping up on all different websites. But the store's always the best place to get the best deal, so to speak. Obviously, when we're selling things online, things like postage and whatnot are built into it. So in store on our own websites, the sort of the best value you can get.
It does give you that chance to walk around and see everything else there as well. I mean, the pond room is just phenomenal, and it's one of those sort of chill out spaces. I enjoy sitting there and looking out to sea and seeing all life go by that way. But you can do almost pretty much the same thing in your pond room, can't you?
Yeah, it is. It is really relaxing, and we do a little thing now that we've started where you can go to the till and get a little pay a pound, which goes to the community projects, but you get a bit of fish food, so you can go feed the pond fish. So that's a cool little thing that people can do if that's something that interests them.
So that's something else you can do down there. Oh, can I feed the fish on there on the 15th?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Thursday the 15th is when it's all happening in February. That will be slap bang in the middle of the half term, won't it?
Yeah, that's right. So it's a free event you can do with the kids, and everything, especially early part of the year. We know everyone's got a lot of rising bills and different things. So it's something you can come down and just do for free.
Yep. There's never any obligation to buy. Although if you do need something, check it out whilst you're there. You'll probably find it's a pretty blooming good price, as well as the fact that you'll be there in the first place. So do check that out. And so great stuff. Whatever pet you have, you'll be able to find supplies down at Hugglepets. So give us all the details again, because as we mentioned, 10 through 12 was it? We've got the Send event, and then after that, it's a free for all when people want to come down.
Yeah. So basically, go online if you want to book tickets to the Send event, which is an enclosed event, and then from about 1 p.m. onwards in the afternoon, it'll be open to everyone, just giving the chance for the families to finish their session and get out of the rooms and everything without big crowds around. So that's the plan. So we're going to kick off the open event from about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. We'll run that till about 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that web address again?
So it's hugglepetsinthecommunity.co.uk if you want to book tickets for the Send event. And then obviously to see everything else and all our information on the pet side, it's just hugglepets.co.uk.
Or turn up Cooper Street, Wolverhampton, and it's just sort of behind the Monmouth Green dog track and that sort of area of the city. You'll know it as soon as you head that way. Oh, it's there. That was my reaction. Oh, it's there when I first came along.
Sandwiched between the tram lines and the Monmouth Green track, basically. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Well, Mike, looking forward to seeing you on the 15th. Thanks again for being one of our partners down here at WCRFM. And it's going to be a good time and enjoyable for all who attend on the sort of family events and open day on the 15th of February.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. See you then.
Now, when it comes down to the world of work, people often change direction. Nobody more so than Sean Wilson, who's been Martin Platt in Coronation Street and now is running a cheese company. To tell us more, he joins us alongside Anthony Clark from the AAT. How are you both?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Nice to speak to you.
Well, good to speak to you. Glad to have you along. So, first of all, Sean, when it comes down to it, 30 years in the world of Coronation Street, thereabouts. It's still existing in the world of Corrie, I believe. But as it goes, you took a major change of direction, about 15 years ago, and this must have been a bit of a shock to the system when it comes to going from acting through to the world of running a cheese company.
Well, it's one of those things, Jason, that I had the passion. Anybody that knew me knew I was going to become involved in the world of food. It had been part of my life while I was relaxing at home after, being in the studio for all those years. So, yeah, I was trying to prepare myself for a world in the food industry. Went to work in a Michelin restaurant for a while. Long story short, I was introduced to a Lancashire cheesemaker who needed to teach somebody. We got on very, very well. And next minute, I'm in his dairy, and essentially I was his apprentice for a couple of years.
And this is where the Saddleworth Cheese Company it comes from. And I mean, when you're coming down to run a company like that, though, you really need to have all sorts of things in the background. Now, as an actor, you're used to having to fake a lot of things. This is very real world. You need to be able to do your accounts.
Oh, yes, very much so. And, there are two sides to my angle. I guess that I had the passion and you didn't have to be in my company for long to know that I had the passion for it. But did I have the acumen? I even had a business advisor who we came up with a way forward where I could present myself into the business world to the distributors with a licensing commitment. But really, was I set for cash flow? Was I set for extended conversations with the tax office? Was I prepared for big conversations with the banks? No, I was not really. I left school, pretty much stepped into ITV. So I just had my maths skills and I needed more. And this is why we're here today, really, just to explain what the AAT can bring to either school leavers or people thinking about job changes, more mature people like myself. There's 6.9 million Brits who are considering a career change in 2024. 6.9 million people. And there's 21% of those who don't know really the first steps to take. So this is why we're here today.
Having a good financial background is good for any company. It helps you work your way through. Obviously, Sean's familiar face will have helped him with the commercial side of things, but that isn't the only thing he had to count on.
No, not at all. And Anthony and I are here just to help people towards just coming to decisions. Either you're a school leaver and you have pressure from your parents, you need to go to university, but there is another side. You can go to university for these 3 years and you could create an amount of debt, so you will come out with a degree, hopefully. But equally, on the other side of the coin, you could have been working for a company. You could have been showing the employer that you want to take a bigger interest in your career and you want to take an AAT qualification that you'll start maybe on £20,000 a year. But when you're in your third year, you will probably be looking at more like a 50k a year. So you're already working, you're learning accountancy through osmosis. Isn't that right, Anthony?
Yeah,
it is indeed. And Jason, it's an interesting one. As Sean's already referenced, so many people looking at potentially changing their career this year, just shy of 7 million. And we see at AAT through our accountancy qualifications, thousands of people every year taking that step to either get on the career ladder within accountancy. There's huge demand for accountants out there at the moment. So accessing AAT's practical qualifications that really give you those real world skills for the workplace, very much in demand. But additionally, those that potentially in Sean's position, I want to set up my own business. In order to do so, I don't necessarily need to become an accountant, but I need to have a really good, strong understanding of finances, especially in those early years. Having that good financial acumen really allows businesses to thrive and to survive. So we see that in a number of instances, students will apply those skills into setting up their own businesses, or indeed they can go on, become an AAT licensed member and set up their own accountancy practice. So lots of options for that for those that are looking to change careers.
These are qualifications which work for you. If you are working for somebody else or yourself, and there's different levels that people can go for here, because if you're running a business, you might be running on an ERP system, Sage, something like that, but you still need to have a good understanding of what these systems are doing behind the scenes.
You certainly do, and technology is massively changing the way that accountants operate now. I do want to make it clear, accountancy, that old perception of people being locked in a dark room, putting numbers into a spreadsheet, couldn't be further from the truth. And the way that technology is changing, and the utilization of various softwares, but still needing to have that really good, firm understanding. And this is what AAT qualifications do at the early levels, is make sure that, okay, the technology is doing all of this, but are those numbers right? It's about helping people to be sort of the critical thinking side of things, to understand and to question the numbers, to spot mistakes, and to make sure that businesses aren't losing money or indeed making mistakes because the technology is not quite doing what it needs to. Wider than that, there's things like sustainability, communication, ethics embedded into the AAT qualification. So it's really giving people that broad skills base, that combination of sort of technical accountancy skills alongside those wider business skills, that's helping to set them up to be successful. And that can be from anybody that's a career changer through to school leavers that are now making those choices about next steps. And as we've seen in the research, there is a lot of pressure on young people to go to university. Over 6 in 10 do feel that pressure. We've seen over the years businesses investing more and more in school leavers, in apprenticeship programs, bringing people into their business from an early stage, developing them through AAT qualifications, but then also helping them to develop those business power skills that are going to add value to those technical qualifications. So the ability to communicate at high levels, the ability to work with people, combining that with the qualification. And it's really, really important where people are making that decision about whether it's university or apprenticeship to use all of the different resources that are there for them to make an informed decision.
Absolutely. And Sean, I mean, in your time on the cobbles, you saw a few local businesses. How do you think the likes of Mrs. Baldwin would have got on if he'd actually done some accounting training with the AAT?
Well, if his accountant was in the Rovers return every afternoon, then he would have got on with him very well.
Yep, would have made all the difference, wouldn't it? But it is interesting, though, when you do take such a change. I mean, what did your colleagues think when you first told them, oh, by the way, I'm disappearing, I might pop back, but for now, I'm going off to learn cheese?
Well, nobody was surprised. Anyone that knows me really well, Jason, they was like, oh, okay, I can see the progression curve there, because I was big into food, big into cooking, big into the science of food, and it was my next step, really. I could only step into the professional world.
But it's about taking that passion and turning it into a business. And business owners are always passionate people, and it sometimes it can seem that numbers might elude you. But as you said, you had a maths background from what would be your O levels, judging by your age. You're just a little bit older than me. So that would have given you a grounding, but it's in knowing how to use that, and it's through a qualification like the you're looking at here, that with the Association of Accounting Technicians, that you can actually start to see the magic behind the scenes. And I assume that sort of thing is what's helped you go from strength to strength over 1.5 decades now.
Well, yeah, I guess so. And really, in colloquial terms, it's a no-brainer. For me, it would have been a no-brainer. If I'd have known about the AAT, I'd have been straight onto the website.
aat.org.uk/qualifications.
And you can find out everything that's there, see how it could help you. And it's like, it doesn't matter what age you are. You could be someone who's 16, 18, looking at going into training for the start of your career. It could be that career change where you need to have a good financial background to allow you to work with it. Or it could just be that you're getting older and you maybe have a little more time to get involved in a charity group or something through your church or other organisation. And having a financial background could help you run the accounts for that. And people actually do qualifications for pleasure, this sort of thing. Again, it all fits, doesn't it, Anthony?
It certainly does. I think if you look at just how many different types of people AAT qualifications and memberships touch every year, there's an underlying desire. I want to have a better understanding of finances. I need to build my financial acumen, whether that be for a young person leaving school and wanting to pursue a career, all the way through to business owners, or indeed generations that, as you've just mentioned there, Jason, that may be helping out with the charity. Do you know what? With a little bit of maybe with a bit of bookkeeping knowledge, I can add value and really help this charity. So, yeah, we've got AAT students from from completely opposite ends of the generation scale, but all using those qualifications to make a difference, and that's what we're here to do.
Give us that web address again.
It's aat.org.uk/qualifications.
Sean, where do we find your cheese emporium?
So all my cheeses are they're artisan cheeses, so they're at more specialised cheese shops. And the one that I kind of tell people is that the Crosby Cheese and Charcuterie Shop, who are online, you can make your order and receive my cheese the following day.
That sounds like a great way of doing it. I need cheese. It'll be here tomorrow. It's going to work, and it's going to be quality as well. Well, Sean Wilson, former actor, now cheese merchant, and Anthony Clark, business development manager at AAT. Thank you for joining us.
No, you're very welcome.
Jason.
That's a lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 764 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.